Hey everyone, welcome back to AB Automation Hub. From today onwards, I'm going to start with the API series. So I've been getting a lot of messages to upload videos on API automation. If you're looking for a tool which can handle web and API, so Cypress is best choice for that. So this is something which makes it different from Selenium and other tools. So in single tool, you can automate both web as well as API. So you don't have to worry about, changing the different project. In single project, you can have multiple packages and do both the testing. In today's video, I'm going to explain about the GET request. So we will cover below topics. So first, we will see how we can automate a API, and we can see get user details API. We will check. The first one is get user details. Next topic we will cover is one invalid case in which we will pass invalid URL and then we will verify the get call for that. Then the third one we are going to cover if we want to get a user detail for a single user. So get user detail for single user for one user. And the last case would be one more invalid case, one more negative testing in which what we will do, we will pass invalid user details and we will see what is the end result. So these are the four cases which we are going to cover in today's video. So there's a sample website which is gorest.co.in. So just go to Google and enter this, go to gorest.co.in. And over here, you will see a lot of sample APIs available and there are multiple examples. They have very good documentation also. You can see they have a lot of sample practice APIs and good documentation about API authentication, curl examples. You can read about it. Okay. So as part of the video, we are going to cover get call. So for that, what you have to do, first you have to get the token. So in order to get the token for an API, because will be hitting this get user API, and for that we have to get the token. So just click on this login button over here. You see on the right side. So top right side, just click on the login button. And now over here, you can see there's an authentication required page. So you can log in with your GitHub account or Google account or Microsoft, whatever you want. Just choose one. So I'm just choosing Google over here. It will take you to the Google page and just enter your Gmail credentials, enter username, password, select, and now it will generate a token for you. So this is a bearer token. You see this one? This is a bearer token. So this bearer token we are going to use in our API for hitting the user details. Fine. So go to your Postman. So in my Postman, I have already imported it. So you see my URL. So this is gorest.co.in and public v2 users. And over here, we have to enter the header, which is authorization and a bearer token. So guys, make sure the bearer is in camel case. It should be B, should be in caps. And then you have to enter your token value. So whatever token is generated on the UI, just enter over here. And this is a header, which is authorization. And then just hit on it. So over here, you can see multiple user details in the response. So this is our response. You see, this is all coming under the body and our status code is 200 OK. Fine. So as part of the get call, what we will do, we will automate this flow in which we will hit our users API and then we will fetch the response code for it. So let's go to ID. Let's go to editor and let's automate it using Cypress. So first of all, we will create a project. So for that, you have to go to editor, go to terminal, just go to terminal and enter npm init. So I'll enter npm init. And now enter all the details. So you have to pass the package name, version, description, all the basic details. If you don't want to pass, just keep on pressing enter and automatically a package.json would be created over here. So now you see my package.json is created and we can see it has all the details like name, version, description, whatever is there. Fine. The next thing is we have to install Cypress. So in order to install Cypress, what you have to do, you have to enter the command which is npm install Cypress. So I'll just quickly enter npm install Cypress -- save and -dev. So this will install the latest version of Cypress. Once this is installed, you would see a node modules package got added. You see on the left side, node modules got added and it has all the packages inside. We also have a Cypress package inside which you can see there are multiple packages. So in order to configure Cypress, what you have to do, just go to terminal once again and enter npx Cypress open. So once you enter this command, Cypress will open and over here just select end-to-end testing, click on continue select your browser, and now you can see, just click on the example specs, and over here you can see examples over here. Fine. So these are the basic examples which are added by Cypress by default, just for the practice purpose, for the reference purpose. So our Cypress installation is done. Now, if you see on the left side in your package, there will be a new, in your project, there will be new package Cypress installed. And it has by default 3 packages, which is end-to-end, which contains all your test cases. You see over here, this is my test case. And then we have the fixtures folder where you can keep all your test data, your JSON files over here. And then the third one is support package, in which you can keep your common commands, your end-to-end, all the configurations over here. Okay, and then we have cypress.config.js, which can be used as a basic configuration file. If you want to understand more about it, I have already created a video around it, in which you can see how to install it from the scratch and how to know the folder structure for Cypress. Fine. So let's create one test case. What I will do, I'll go to my end-to-end package and I'll remove the existing packages over here. So let me remove it. So let's quickly remove it. And now we'll create a file over here. So this is my getusers.cy.js. Next thing is we will write our test case. So first of all, we'll write the describe block. So just enter your test suite name. For example, I'm entering test API automation using Cypress. Inside this, you have to enter a callback function, and then you have to mention your it block. So inside the it block, just enter the name of the test case. So first test case, we are going to check the users. We are going to fetch the users, and then we are going to assert the status code. So get users, we will write, and then a callback function over here. Fine. Now we will write our test inside this. In Cypress, if you have to perform an API call, if you have to do the API automation, for that you have to use this method, which is cy.request. And then inside that, you have to pass. So first thing you have to pass is method. So what method we are going to do? Over here, we are going to automate get API. So this is my get call. Next thing, you have to enter the URL. So URL. So what is the URL value? We will get this URL value from our Postman. So let's go to Postman and copy the URL. So let's copy it. And over here, enter the URL. Next thing is our headers. So we have headers over here. We have authorization. In that case, what you have to do, you have to pass over here headers like this. So just pass your headers like this, and it's an object. So just copy from the Postman again. So this is my authorization and this is the value. So this is the key and this is the value. We're going to pass same in our code. So headers is authorization and your value is just, we copy the value from there. Okay. So just make sure the value is correct. The B should be in caps. This is a bearer token. This is very important. Without this, you can't get that user details. Fine. So now we have mentioned about how we are going to access the API. We have mentioned the method. So this is our get method URL headers. So whatever information we are passing the Postman, same thing we are trying to automate over here. The next thing is, once we make our request, what we have to do, we have to assert it. So after this, we will just fetch the response. I'll write over here response. So this is my response, and this response, the next step is we have to assert it. So using assertion, what we will do, we will write assertion over here. So in this case, we will write expect, and this perform assertion on this response. So this is the response which we are getting based on the get call. So this will store the response in this object, and then you can perform further validation on this. So my next thing is response.status, because we are trying to fetch the status code. So in this case, I will do response.status and then .to .equal. And what is the value? What is the status code we want to assert? So we want to assert 200. So over here, I will enter 200. Fine. So this is a simple test case. We are just writing our it block in which we have mentioned the test case name, then the cy.request, doing a simple get call, passing the URL headers method, and just asserting the response. Now go to a terminal and just run the command npx cypress open, and let's execute the test case. Now select get users from here and let's run it. So you see test case got passed over here. but we can't see the logs over here. So what for the logs, what you can do? So for the logs, just go over here and inside your then just enter cy.log. So using cy.log, you can actually print your response. Okay, print your messages. So we want to print the response. So this is basically our response. So this will be an object because this is an object. So in order to get the JSON response, we will use this method, which is JSON.stringify. It will actually convert your object into JSON and then mention response over here. Fine. So now let's rerun the test case and let's see again what's happening. So let's run the test case and see. So now you see, we are getting over here all the logs. We can see in the body, we can see the ID, name, or everything which we were able to see in the postman. So this is the same response which we can see over here. So this is amazing. So in Cypress, this is really great. On the dashboard only, on execution screen, you can see all the details. You don't have to go to your terminal and validate everything. It's very simple, very user friendly. You can fetch everything from the execution screen only. Fine. Now let's automate the next flow. So let's go back to our editor and let's automate the next flow, which is over here we got multiple users. The next case would be to get, if you want to fetch single user. In that case, what we will do? So in that case, let's go over here and let's see. So what I will do, I will just copy this again. So I'll just copy the it block and then we will modify it for the single user. So let's just copy and write again over here. So get user one. Okay, let's just name it that way. And in the get call, inside the users, what we are going to do, we were getting multiple users in the first case. In this, we want to fetch single user. So let's go to postman and get one ID and then let's automate that flow. So this is my postman. For users, let's say I want to automate this one. I want to get single user out of all the users. I want to get the details of a single user because in the users API, we are getting all the details. Okay. So let's see from the postman first and then we will automate it. So let's go to the API. And this is again a get call. We are passing in the headers, we are passing authorization. This is the same token. Over here, we have a user list. So let's get the user details for this user only, because over here we can see all the users, we can see the name of all the users over here. Now let's automate one flow in which we want to get details for single user. So in that case, just go to this API and enter over here the same ID and let's execute this API. Let's hit it. You see, we are getting details for only one user. Fine. And this is our body. In body, we can see this is the response is again JSON value and it's a body and the status code is 200 okay. So as part of our API automation, what we will do, we will first of all, we will check our status code is 200 okay. And in the response, we are getting ID as the same value. Fine. So let's automate this flow as well. Let's go back. So over here, after users, we will pass this path parameter. So this is called as path parameter after slash. Okay. And then in the response code, along with the 200 okay, we are going to make one more assertion. So over here, just write expect. So now our response is inside the body. Earlier it was status. Now our response is we have to validate the body. Response body dot ID. Okay. And what is the value? Let's see in the postman again. So over here, if you see inside the body, we have ID as a key and then we are getting this value. So we will automate this again. So let me go back to the editor and body.id dot to dot equal and then the value. As it is an integer value, so we will pass it like this. Now let's rerun the test case and let's see again. So you see, it's amazing. Now both the test cases are getting passed. The first one got passed and the second one also, we can see 200 okay and the assertion, we can see the ID is also matching. Okay. So if you want to see negative case, what we will do? Over here, just pass some invalid ID. Let's go back. So over here, we will pass some invalid ID and let's see if our assertion is working fine or not. So let's rerun the test case and let's see. Let me run the test case and let's execute this one. So you see assertion got failed. That means you can clearly see your assertion is working fine. It was actually comparing the correct value. Fine. So this is how you can assert for the single user. So this was all about the positive scenario. Next case is, for example, if you want to hit this API with an invalid endpoint. So in that case, what will happen? So if we go to Postman, so invalid endpoint, for example, instead of user, I'm passing user, and if I'm making a API call, it is returning 404. Okay, you have to validate negative case as well. When you're doing an API automation, it's not only positive, you have to do negative testing as well. So we will perform some negative test case for this invalid user. Let's go to editor. Over here, I'm just copying it again. I'll just copy it again, and let's write the test case for negative invalid URL. So this is my invalid URL, get user invalid endpoint. Fine. So this is my third test case. And over here, I will just remove it and I'll pass it like this, user. So in this case, I want to show you one more thing. This test case is going to fail because this is in Cypress, what happened by default, it runs for a successful request. If it gets a successful status code, it works fine. But if it gets a failure status code like 400 or 500 series, it will automatically fail. Even though your assertions are fine, everything is fine, but it will fail. For that, we have to handle it by passing an object which is fail on status code. So we will see how it works without adding that object, and later on we will pass and then execute it again. Fine. So in this case, I will just remove my last assertion, and this is a case for 404 because we saw in Postman, when we are trying to access the wrong endpoint, it should throw us 404. Fine. So this is our validation over here. Now let's run the test case and let's see. Let's run this. And you see now the test case is failed over here, and over here we would see a message for fail status code as false. Okay. So it is saying 404 not found. This is fine. Our assertion is fine. The status code is fine, but it is not passing because if you do not want status code to cause failures, you have to pass this option. Like I mentioned in Cypress, by default, it checks for only 200 and 300 series. And if it does not get that one, it will automatically fail your test case. So let's edit our test case and let's rerun the test case. Okay. So go to your request, and in the request, after headers, you have to pass this fail.status code and make it as false. By default, it is true. That means whenever you run your test case, it will be passed. But in this case, we don't want our test case to be failed. Fine. So let's run the test case and see. So now you see, this is passing. This is amazing. And over here, we can see our test case got passed and the status code is again 404. Okay, which is same what we passed in our test, in our editor, in our code. Now let's go back and let's see the last scenario. So the last scenario is if you're trying to access some invalid user. In that case, what will happen? We will get again, it is a failure test case. So if I take you to Postman, in Postman, let's see if you're passing some invalid user, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's no user ID with this. Okay. And if we hit this API, we fetch this API, we are getting 404 because there is no user with such user ID. Fine. So let's automate this case as well. So I'll again copy my block and then we will write scenario for this. Fine. And let's copy over here. And in this case, what we will do? So this is an invalid user case. And in invalid user case, so along with users, I will pass an invalid path parameter. So this is my user ID, which is basically incorrect. And then for this also, we are trying to assert based on the status code. So let's run the test case and let's see. So let's go to terminal and enter npx Cypress open, and then let's run it. So now you see all the 4 test cases are getting passed. This is really awesome. And over here, we can see again, the assertion 404 is actually passing over it. It is finding that assertion. It is finding the same status code and it is getting passed. So this is pretty simple. We automated all the flow. We saw all the different flow where we want to fetch all the user details. We are checking status code. We are checking single user details. We are checking, and then we are performing assertion on the status code based on the body details. Also, we are performing the assertion. We also check this invalid input and invalid user, in which we are trying to fetch some invalid. This is a failure request. Okay. And just keep in mind, for the failure request, for the failure cases like 400 series or 500 series, you have to pass fail on status code as false in your cy.request. Okay. Otherwise, it's going to fail. even though your assertion is correct. Fine. So yeah, this is all for this today's video. We covered the get case, and in the upcoming videos, we'll be covering about more about post call, put calls, and delete call. Later on, we'll see how we can create a framework also. And my other series about the web automation, it's an ongoing series. I'll be uploading more videos on that part also. But this was just a quick new series on the API automation. So I hope you're liking the content. And please like and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.